Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is the Ole Gunnar Solskjær press conference for the match in preparation for the Everton game. Ollie's been speaking about Donny and what happened the other night. He's been speaking about Cristiano Ronaldo, asking that they play a higher tempo of football. He's also been talking about our style of football and a few other things as well. I mean, ridiculously, he got asked the question. I mean, it's not Ollie's fault. He got asked the question about game time for Dean Henderson. I mean, look. I like Dean Henderson. I thought the way he consoled Donny the other night was fantastic. But we've got one of the best goalkeepers in the world on form at the moment. Why would you ask? Are we asking a question about is Beek going to play ahead of Varane? Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean about this British bias in this country. It's just ludicrous, absolute waste of a question. You could talk about the number 6 role and how we don't do it properly. No, I know. Oh, I've got a great idea for a question. Let's ask about Dean Henderson. Waste of a question, to be honest with you, but there you go. Let's get on with the show. So, look, I think the first thing to start off with is what did I think about Solskjaer's press conference? You know what? I think he came out swinging a little bit. I did. I think he threw a few punches. You want to see that in your manager, so I'll always applaud that. I thought some of the things he said were baseless, and we'll get into that why in a minute. But the most interesting thing for me, because I know we're going to talk about Donny and we're going to talk about what he said about Ronaldo saying we've got to play quicker. And the Donny stuff's really interesting. But he was asked about the performance on Wednesday night and whether the result masked the poor performance. And he said, well, at the end of the day, we dominated possession and Villarreal caught us on the counter. Luckily, I wasn't drinking my coffee at the time because I would have spat it out all over my computer, which might have made the computer not work. We dominated possession and we caught them on the counter. I'm not, you find yourself questioning yourself. Ole Gunnar Solskjær is the manager of Manchester United and deserves that, voice because he is the man. We can all come up with ideas. We can all have ideas about best 11s and we can all talk about whatever we want to. But Ole Gunnar Solskjær is the manager of Manchester United. He's paid good money to manage our football club, and therefore when he talks, he does deserve our respect. And to come out and say that we dominated possession and got caught out on the counter, I had to think. I've watched this game twice. I watched it twice. I watched it the night and I watched it yesterday again because I wanted to just look at the difference between Matic and McTominay at 6. And I knew what it was, but, it was night and day. But the reality is I wanted to just double check it. Hence I did that video on Twitter this morning. But we did not dominate the possession. Somebody's going to tell me now that when you look at the possession stats, look. You can have 60% possession and do sod all with it. Maybe that's what happened with us. But we didn't dominate that game at all. Villarreal could have smacked our arse. Really bad. Could have been 3 or 4-0 easily at half time. And they moved the ball better than us. And maybe we had the ball more than them because we were side to side. You can have 50% or 55% possession and give 45% possession up. But what they do with that ball. But we didn't dominate possession. We were hitting long balls. I didn't like that comment from Ollie, and I think those comments are always the dangerous ones because it does you no favours to try and pretend that you deserve to win that game because you played the better football. We didn't. We deserved to win the game because it ended after 90 minutes and we won 2-1. I'm not going to argue that, but we didn't do it in a footballing sense. He was then asked about, the team seems to be open on the counter a little bit. How do you stop that? And he came out with things like you've got to win it back quickly, you've got to organise better, you've got to lock it down. And then he said there's loads of things we can discuss. We could talk all day about tactics, but and then ended it. And I'm like, well, you say you can talk all day about tactics. I'd actually really like you to spend a minute talking about tactics because all we ever get is lock it down, fine margins, move it quicker, dominated possession. We never get any detail about how we're actually playing. And I think, it doesn't have to, but I hear Tuchel, I hear Pep, I hear Klopp, I hear other managers talking about it. And I think when you've got that question mark over your head about whether you're a good coach, it would be helpful if he did actually talk about coaching because he can talk about coaching. He doesn't need to talk about, locking it down and moving the ball quicker. Whether he takes coaching or not, he does know the game and he can talk in a more open and in-depth way. And I wish he would because it doesn't do you any favours when you're just coming out with the stuff that he comes out, like we dominated possession against Villarreal and they hit us on the break because that's what we do. So look, the proof's in the pudding. He's got to start delivering, hopefully at some point in the way that we play. But We've got a very interesting game against Everton tomorrow. I'm sure most of you are already aware that they've got a lot of injuries tomorrow. They're there to be beaten. Ollie did speak about the fact that we're having to play, Wednesday night and then Saturday lunchtime. Obviously, Everton will be fresh, but they're missing a lot of their players, and we're very fresh. We're fresh. We've got loads of players that aren't playing, so I don't think it will be an excuse, and I think we'll win fine. I wish he would take responsibility and say the way we played isn't good enough and we should be playing more attacking, says Gordon Murray. Well, I don't actually expect him to do that. I've got to be fair. I don't expect Ollie to come out and start talking about, how poor we were, etc. He said we were very lucky on Wednesday night, and obviously the very interesting thing before we took Donny as well, there was that story this morning that Ronaldo has had a meeting with Ollie telling him that we need to play faster football. Ollie said that in relation to those comments, it's between us, but no such discussion took place. So, Ollie is the beginning of losing the players. At the beginning of losing the players, says RC1. I don't think he is. I don't think he is going to lose the players. I think the players are very loyal to him. And I heard something yesterday, very, very good, and I agree with it. There's this reputation that Ollie's a great man manager. He's not a great man manager. He's a great man manager of the players that he likes. He's not a great man manager of Donny, of Eric Bailly, of Alex Telles, of Diego Dalot. If you're in his club, he's a great man manager, but a great man manager is somebody who makes everybody happy, and he's been unable to do that, has he, for the last year? He has a select set of players that love him, and then he's got a select set of players that very rarely play. So that man manager thing, I think people hide behind that because they don't think he's very good tactically. I think he is good tactically, and I think he's a good man manager, but I don't think he's a genius man manager and not a bad coach. And I think that, you can all... Look, let's talk about Donny van der Beek for a moment. Hi, Mark, I love your videos. Me and my mum watch them all. It's my birthday tomorrow. I just got a positive PCR test and it's my 16th, says Tom Hinton. Well, rest up, mate. Hopefully you won't get any symptoms, and a happy birthday to you. I think Pep is a good man manager, him and Shu. I think Pep's one of the best tactical managers in the world. I also think he's a very good man manager as well, because the way he keeps his team happy, and I think Tuchel's a very good man manager as well, and he's a very good tactical manager. I'm not having this that Ollie's a better man manager than Pep or Tuchel. Like, those managers manage huge squads and keep them happy. Like, all right, somebody will tell me a Man City player that's not happy or a Chelsea player that's not happy, but the proof is in the way that they rotate. He's always playing different players, Pep, and so is Tuchel, and they keep them happy and focused. So that's what I would like to see Ollie become, a good man manager, and I'd also think he'd become a good tactical manager from that as well. But let's talk about Donny for a moment, because it's really interesting. So he was asked about Donny van der Beek, and Donny van der Beek being frustrated, and let's talk about what Ollie's response to this first of all. And I almost knew he was going to do this, and I think some people did knew it as well. He said, I manage many internationals who want to play. I must have the record of being the most subbed player at this club, and I've not been happy. But it's about energy and desire when you get on the pitch, and showing me that energy and desire. I want positive energy in this football club, not sulkers. And if I see that bad negative energy, then I'll have a word with that player. So it was basically, Ollie, why don't you pick Donny van der Beek? And can you understand why Donny's frustrated? And Ollie's answer was, I used to sit on the bench. I want to see energy and desire. And if people start moaning, then I'll have a go at them. Great answer to the question. What can you understand why Donny's frustrated with his not playing? Absolutely no answer to the question why Donny doesn't play. What relevancy has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sitting on the bench 20 years ago got to do with Donny van der Beek not being picked and bought for £35 million? There's no correlation between Ollie sitting on the bench and Donny sitting on the bench. Ollie did sit on the bench for Sir Alex Ferguson, but he used to play a lot as well. Donny sits on the bench and gets ignored. There's no correlation. Donny van der Beek works really, really hard in training and everything, doesn't get a chance. Also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was on the bench because we had some bloody brilliant forwards. Donny van der Beek is on the bench and we have to watch McTominay and Fred play in the midfield and mostly perform badly. So there's no correlation there. I have got no issue with Donny van der Beek being on the bench if Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic and Bruno are playing brilliant week in, week out. It's tough. The problem is, I have an issue with Donny van der Beek sitting on the bench because our midfield's not good. And I listen to a lot of people, and I've heard a few people saying it's almost like they're rewriting history because they want to back the Ollie side of things on Donny, which I get. I'm absolutely fine with that. Opinion is opinion. Ollie in, Ollie out. Shake it all about. I'm not bothered. But I do hear people saying, wow, people talk about Donny van de Beek too much. Every time he has played, he's done okay at best. He's clearly just not good enough. I don't know why people talk about him all the time. And I'm like, you're exposing the argument straight away, because the reality is, when you look at our midfield this season, it's been very poor. When you look at Donny van de Beek this season, whether it's the pre-season game against Everton, whether it's the first half against Young Boys, or whether it's the full game he played against West Ham, I've seen Donny van de Beek play 3 times this season. I'm not going to talk about last season, because last season's over. He looks different this season. He's physically different. And I think that, if you want to go back to last season, I thought he was superb against Wolves in the last game of the season with Matic as well, in the Premier League. But this season, he looks good. And I'm not having that he's just been okay. I think against West Ham, he was voted man of the match by a lot of people, which means whether he was your man of the match or not, he didn't have a bad game. Everybody was appalled. He got subbed off at half-time against Young Boys because they felt he was having a good game. So where's this, he's done okay at best? I mean, you're talking out your arse, basically. You're exposing the fact that you just want to blindly follow this, let's treat Donny badly because he doesn't deserve to start. The argument's flawed. It's flawed. He played well against West Ham. He played well against Young Boys. And Fred and McTominay haven't played well this season. That's the only thing I'm interested in. To me, it's got nothing to do with whether you think Ollie's a good coach. It's got nothing to do whether you think Donny's the answer or not. The thing is, we've got players who seem to play every week who clearly aren't good enough. And we've got a lad that we spent 35 million on that's not been given a chance. Argue with me about that. That's the only thing I'm interested in. It's not about pick Donny, free Donny, this, that and the other. I don't know whether Donny's the answer. But I certainly have seen over the last year that Fred and McTominay are not the answer if you want to play good football, and actually don't play that well very often. So they might run around a lot. Statistically, we might win games with them in the midfield, but it's a bore to watch. And they're not Man United footballers. And as Paul Ince said this morning, we're not playing the United way. So for me, it seems to me that the Donny thing's starting to divide fans as well. Well, he's not even that good. He's brilliant. That's not the argument here. The argument is we spent £35 million on a player that was a Dutch international who played Champions League semi-final football, who Real Madrid wanted, and we destroyed his career. And we've never given him a run of games. And to me, the curiosity kills the cat. We don't have a very good midfield. We bought this midfielder that Real Madrid wanted, that was brilliant for Ajax, that we spent £35 million on, and we refused to give him a run of games. That's why I moan about it, because I'm like, we haven't got a good midfield. They're not very good. They can't pass. They can't read the game. They get run past all the time. They don't create much. They're not actually that good in the tackle at the moment. They're not performing on many different levels, and you're telling me that Donny van de Beek doesn't deserve a chance. That's my point. Not about, he's only been okay when he's played. Well, he's been better than okay, to be fair, but, I'll let you have that. He deserves a chance. If Solskjaer doesn't stop picking Fred, he isn't different to Mourinho when he said he picks players who would run through brick walls for him, says Deji. Well, we saw it with Fellaini, didn't we? We saw it when Fellaini got sold, and how ironic that Ollie sold Fellaini. When Fellaini went, we were like, oh my God, it's over. We've got rid of the biggest passion merchant in the midfield ever, who just runs around and, basically, we score a goal and Fellaini's there fisting the crowd. Not literally, he's like that. He's going, yes, yes. And, he's like a paid... a lot of people liked Fellaini. I didn't. As a footballer, I couldn't stand him as a footballer. As a person, he's probably a really nice guy. But as a footballer, I never wanted him in a United shirt. He was just anti everything I think United's all about. But he was like a cheerleader when we scored, and everyone loved him, and he scored a few goals himself. And is that not what Fred and McTominay have become? They're always there when we score a goal, and absolutely they should be. They're playing a United shirt, they're living the dream, and they're there. Yeah, come on, and everyone loves it. But I don't think they're very good footballers from what I've seen in that number 6 role. And I don't think we're getting the best out of Paul Pogba either. I don't know why. You know what? Here's a point. We're talking about a press conference. What's the 45 minutes of playtime he was talking about? Oh, don't ask Gordon Murray. Life's too short. Hi, Mark. I feel Donny would do well with a tactical manager, which Ollie is not. Ollie doesn't know what to do with Donny. He plays long ball, says M. Parker. Well, in relation to Paul Pogba, I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. And, I'm really surprised there is no conversation about Pogba. The one thing I would say is we are spending a lot of time as a fan base talking about Donny van de Beek. I'm amazed no one's talking about Paul Pogba. He was taken off the other night. I don't think he should have been. Didn't play very well, but I think other players deserved to come off before he did. Clearly wasn't happy. He's not a left winger, and we can't play him in the midfield. I'm surprised there's not more conversations about Paul Pogba. We're trying to get Paul Pogba to stay at the football club. We're trying to get Paul Pogba to sign a contract that's on the table. Fabrizio Romano knows it. You know it. There is a contract on the table for Paul Pogba to sign. And yet, we don't know how to use him. Another player we don't know how to use. So, for Donny van de Beek, you could say Paul Pogba. For me, I'm managing a club, you're managing a club, any top manager's managing a club. I don't think they're going to put Paul Pogba on the wing. They're going to find a place for him in the midfield. So, I think Paul Pogba's another issue that really isn't being discussed enough. Like, where's Pogba going to play tomorrow? Is he going to be back on the wing again so we bench Sancho so we can play McTominay and Fred? Probably. Should be Matic and Pogba tomorrow. Pogba needs to play, and we need to get the best out of Pogba too. Pogba's Ollie's problem child. Well, I tell you what, Ajay, what's going to happen with Pogba is he's going to run his contract and he's going to go. And I always thought that would happen anyway, but I 100% think it'll happen at the moment, because what is Paul Pogba's role in this Manchester United side at the moment? 100%, 100%, you should never be 100%, but I'm 90% sure that Pogba's going to leave United, and I can't really have an issue with why that would be. I mean, the midfield at United is so depressing. It really is. We're winning games. I like the defence. I think De Gea's fantastic. I like the defence. I like Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Varane and Shaw. I like it. I like the back five. I'm very happy with the back five. The front positions, there's so many options there, and we've got the best player in the world in Ronaldo. So, but that midfield is just so depressing, because it could be the final piece. Even though we need to buy a midfielder, you can still construct a really good midfield. But, Ollie's upset. He even said it in his interview. He's even just said it in his interview half an hour ago. He mentioned energy and desire when you get on the pitch. Show me what you're all about. And I thought, you know what? He was talking about Donny, and he said it's that energy and desire when you get on the pitch. You've got to show me that. And I'm like, oh my Christ. So Donny van de Beek played against West Ham. His passing was really good, and he was one of the best players on the pitch, technically. But he didn't get picked because he didn't run around enough and show you enough desire. We're Manchester United. Why are we championing Duracell bunnies over technical footballers? And to be honest with you, Donny never stopped running in that game. Him and Matic never stopped running. They ran the midfield in that game against West Ham. We would have beat West Ham 3 or 4-1 if we'd have had decent forwards that day who weren't selfish. Like Lingard was shooting from everywhere. It wasn't a very good attacking performance, but Donny was fantastic in this game. So effectively, it feels like I want to call that out. So Ollie was sort of talking about Donny, and he said, "You've got to show me that energy and desire when you do play. Show me you've got it." Well, he showed it you last week against West Ham, or a couple of weeks ago. He definitely did. So it feels like we're sort of rewriting the rules now. We're trying to make out that he's played crap every time you've given him a game, and the truth couldn't be further from the truth. He actually has played well. I'm not saying, and I agree with what Incy said about it, I'm not saying that Donny van de Beek's been amazing when he's played, but he's been better than some of the people who play every week, and I can't keep saying this enough, and I know it's frustrating. Run of games. He needs a run of games. Like Delo got pelters on Wednesday night. He needs a run of games. You're not going to drop a player into a team that they never get a chance to play with, and they're going to be brilliant. They need a run of games. Delo needs a run of games. Donny needs a run of games. Tellez needs a run of games. It's obvious. Mark, what is it that Ollie sees when he picks McFred and shoehorns Pogba on the wing? Are we deluded as fans? Are we missing something that Ollie knows? Work rate. He gets work rate, trust and desire. That's what he gets. Pogba drifts too forward. He prevents flow from McFred, and he doesn't have pace. Bruno already runs forward, but he has pace and creates chances, says MWK. Don't you think he is too shabby? Sometimes loses so many balls in important positions, says Nishank. And I presume he's talking about Pogba there. And agree on the McFred analysis, but I don't think we should allow the whole CDM issue to be an excuse Ollie uses for not winning something or even playing well, says Sanjay. Well, no, I think there is. As I've said many times before, Nemanja Matic to me is the player that needs to play. Because he's the only CDM we've got, and we don't know how to use it. do we? We don't know how to use it. He was also asked about injuries and absences for the Everton game. So Luke Shaw's been ill. I suspect Luke Shaw will play tomorrow. Rashford had his first physical training session today. So first combat session. That doesn't mean he's playing Call of Duty or anything like that. It means he's he's been doing a lot of running and stuff, but he had his first training session today where he was playing with other players. So he should really be back for Leicester in a couple of weeks. Certainly be part of the matchday squad. Harry Maguire's out and Ahmad's obviously still out as well. And also, he was asked the question about Dean Henderson, right? He was asked the question about Dean Henderson and game time. And Ollie said, well, look, I've got Henderson and Heaton. They're both really, really good goalkeepers. I mean, there's irrelevant questions and there's totally irrelevant questions. Look, Dean Henderson's a good goalkeeper. I'm sure he's having a difficult time of things at the moment, and I'm sure the way he tapped Donny on the shoulder when Donny was pissed off was empathetic because he feels the same. Nobody's ever said that Dean Henderson's not a good goalkeeper. In fact, some of you would probably still want him to be a number one. In the summer, it seemed to be 50-50, so I don't know whether the majority seems to be with De Gea at the moment, but that's only because of his form. With some, it was 50-50 in the summer. I wanted De Gea over Henderson because I prefer De Gea, but I don't dislike Dean Henderson. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I just dislike the fact that we've got two very good goalkeepers sharing the role. What we're seeing at the moment is we're not seeing that sharing of the role. And let's not forget, Dean Henderson's not started a game for United this season, but David De Gea is massively important for us. I actually thought that Ollie might rotate the goalkeeping situation against Villarreal. We probably would have lost the game if he'd done that. Now, that's not to say that Dean Henderson wouldn't have made all the saves De Gea did, but you can't argue with the fact that De Gea was man of the match. The bar was so high, there was no drop off, so Dean would have had to put that bar really high as well. De Gea is the number one at the moment, and he should be the number one. What Dean Henderson or Tom Heaton does at the moment is irrelevant. I think it's an irrelevant question. You shouldn't be asking a manager about rotating his goalkeeper when his goalkeeper is his player of the season so far. What Dean Henderson does, I don't know. Between now and Christmas, I just don't see how you would ever rest or rotate De Gea. We've got no Carabao Cup games. All the Champions League games are important now because of that young boys loss. We can't slip again. And the league games are very important. So, maybe Dean Henderson will have to go on loan in January. But ultimately, you've got to feel sorry for the lad because there was a lot of rumours that he was going to start the season as the number one if he hadn't have got COVID. But, injuries, chances, suspensions, illness, these things, how many careers are there that have been dictated to by that? Marcus Rashford's the biggest one ever. Marcus Rashford started his career at United because Will Keane got an injury. Who's he? Michael Keane's brother. I don't know where he plays now. This was under Van Gaal. Martial got injured in the warm-up. I think Will Keane was injured as well. We had a few other injuries. So Marcus Rashford comes into the team and never looks back. Opportunities happen like that. What do I think Dean Henderson should do? I think he should be playing Premier League football for a team in the Premier League, funnily enough. And I think that maybe he needs to go on loan. To be honest with you, I think what De Gea has done over the last 6 months, I take into account the Europa League semi-final against Roma where he was world class. That semi-final against Roma is better than any performance he's put in this season, and this season he's been amazing. David De Gea's 30. He can play like this for at least another 6 years. So we've got a decision to make. We either sell De Gea and go with Henderson, or we sell Henderson and we go with De Gea. I know it's a blunt choice, but for me, we stick with De Gea for the next 6 years. And also what I've loved about De Gea this season is that experience that he's got at being in this club for 10 years, the leadership he is showing. He is acting and behaving like one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the moment, and he has to be a goalkeeper and he has to play every single game you can play him. So that doesn't help Dean. It really doesn't. So I think he needs to angle for a move. But you never know with Ollie. Ollie might just start going, you know what? I want to share the load. It's amazing. Ollie's very keen to share the goalkeeping role, which he never really should share. But he won't share the midfield time. Matic and Donny and Pogba can't get a bloody start half of the time. Pogba does play, but I don't think he plays in the right system. Ollie started Moments FC when he bought Bruno. He's the best moment player in the world, saved his job and papered over Ollie's tactical deficiencies, says Hafas. At this point, I'm so fed up with McFred that I would try Garner in the midfield. He's probably not ready, but since we're never signing a CDM, why not? Well, he is on loan as well, Remy. Come on, Mark. You also know there is no hope with Ollie. Join Ollie Out Army. There is a party over here, says Jay. Well, no, I'm not joining the Ollie Out Army because I think we will win tomorrow. And if we win tomorrow, we'll probably be top of the league and we're still comfortably in the race to get out of the Champions League group. And you know what? I've said this for a very long time, and I know a lot of people have said this, and it's not a bad thing. He's a very lucky manager. He's a very lucky manager. I mean, Wednesday night, it's not the first time that's happened. It's happened a lot. And, you know, look at Newcastle. Callum Wilson's injured. Look at West Ham. Antonio's suspended. Look at this game against Everton. Calvert-Lewin's injured. You know, we do seem to play a lot of teams where they're missing. Mainly, it seems to be they're missing their best player, which is their goal scorer. So, you know, a lot of things go Ollie's way. And I've seen this before with players and I've seen it with managers as well. They are lucky, but not lucky in the way that it never seems to run out. He seems to get the rub of the green a lot. So, look, I think this story is yet to be finished with Ollie as our manager. But, you know, I understand the frustrations and I just hope... I genuinely do believe the hope is in the midfield. I think football's a very simple game. And I think that if he sorts his midfield out, we'll see a better team. We know we've got a really good defence. We know we've got a brilliant goalkeeper. We know we've got a brilliant attack. But we don't have is a good midfield. We get called Bagel FC because the outside's edible. It's nice. The middle of it's just air. And I think that, you know... It's unfortunate that that nickname ever existed, McFred, but it has become the problem of the team. And I don't know that he wants to move away from it. I fully expect them both to start tomorrow. Ollie is only lucky because he gets preferential treatment from fans and the media. His results are poor enough to deserve the sacking long ago, says Andre. Well, yeah, but Andre, they're not, though, are they? I have to pull you up on that. They're not poor enough to get the sack. On what basis would you sack a manager that's finished third, second, has us in a title race at the moment, and we've just won a game against Villarreal and put ourselves in a strong position in the Champions League? You can say the style of football isn't to your pleasing, but you cannot say that the results are sackable. I mean, even the final loss to Villarreal, it's a final. You know, I disagree. I don't think the factual results are enough to sack any manager. Ollie or Mourinho wouldn't be sacked in this position. Moyes wouldn't be sacked in this position, and Van Gaal wouldn't be sacked in this position. I tell you what, that's a good point. If you gave Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho what we've done in the last 18 months under Ollie, they would still be the manager. You know, third, second, and a reasonable start to the season. You wouldn't get sacked off that. I'm starting to think Ollie needs to try the lottery, says Rahul. And Mark, if Ollie doesn't coach the players and has no tactics, what does he do that my gran can't, says M. Parker. People think Ronaldo is the ultimate physical specimen. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is actually better, surviving with no brains, guts, spine or balls, says Pratton. Well, look, you know what? Let's move it on. Really interesting thing that I wanted to bring in today. I don't know whether you saw it. There was an article this morning. It might have been The Athletic. I just saw an infographic. Basically, Ronaldo presses less than anybody else in the whole Premier League. Like, nobody presses less than Ronaldo. Now, I think it's an irrelevant point at the moment. Remember I said this a few days ago. We need to monitor the relationship between Ronaldo and Manchester United. He's scored a lot of goals. How does he impact the way we play? Watch it over the next coming weeks and months, because there's definitely... you know what I think of Ronaldo. I absolutely love him. Fantastic. It's a dream to have him back at Manchester United. But he doesn't press from the front like a Cavani would. And, you know, we want to play a high press, and we never did it without Ronaldo, so we shouldn't be bloody moaning about it now. That's my point. You know, it's amazing where these stats come from, because, you know, Ronaldo presses the least out of any other forward in the Premier League. Like we press effectively anyway. I saw us try and press against Villarreal in the second half. 4 players, Pogba, Bruno, I think it was Greenwood and Ronaldo. Their centre-back had it and he just passed straight through all 4 of them, straight into the midfield. I was like, oh my God. We're just all moving in a square and there's a big space to pass through. So, look, Ronaldo doesn't press from the front. It's a fact. How that impacts on us as a team, it's too early to say. but we don't press very effectively anyway. So to me, I think it's just a bit of noise at the moment. Did you notice the Play Donny poster? I created that and had a lot of mixed reactions. I'll be taking it to every game until he gets his moment, says Arjun. And Mark, we're in October. There is no title race as of yet, says Nora. I know. I said it sort of tongue-in-cheek, because if you watched me last night, I said that realistically, I don't think you can establish whether you're in a title race until at least November, because look at the games that Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool will have played on Sunday night. Chelsea will have played Man City, they will have played Liverpool. Liverpool will have played Man City and Chelsea, and Man City will have played Liverpool and Chelsea. So those teams will have played each other twice. They will have played, well, they won't have played each other twice, but Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea on Sunday night have all played each other. We've not played any of them. So even if we're 3 points ahead of them all, they will look at it and go, well, yeah, they haven't played us yet. So United's start to the season cannot really be judged until, I would say, mid to the back end of November. If we're where we are now, then we are in a title race. But yeah, you're right, it's way too early. Way too early. We've not really played anyone difficult. I think West Ham's our most difficult game we've played. And we won. And we deserve to win. What scares me the most is that Ollie and the entire coaching team can't see the hole in the middle. During your watch-along, you kept noting Capoue and his role as a 6. We don't have training badges, bro, says AJ Singh. Well, I put a video up on Twitter this morning about the number 6 role and was talking about what McTominay does and what Matic does. I mean, it's basic coaching. Anybody could do it. We don't do it, And yet you get Ollie coming out in his press conference today saying that we dominated the possession and they counter-attacked us. I don't know what game he was watching. I really don't know what game he was watching to think that, but, Anyway, look, we will be on the 8 o'clock show tonight. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And I've got another little treat for you. Yesterday, I gave away a FIFA code. FIFA 22 is out. I did a tweet yesterday and we gave one out. I'm giving another FIFA 22 code out today. Links in the video description for Driving with Goldbridge. It's a brand new episode. It's with Thogden and Thogdad. If you know your football, you know who they are. Goldbridge, Thogden and Thogdad driving around. Links in the video description. Click it, subscribe to that channel, and leave me a comment in there about who your dream guest on Driving with Goldbridge would be and why. And I'm going to go through those in a few hours' time. I'm going to pick the best one, and you will get a download code for FIFA. So make sure you get into the video description, subscribe to that channel, Driving with Goldbridge, leave your comment on who would be your dream Driving with Goldbridge companion and why, and I will be reading those this evening before the 8 o'clock show, and we'll announce the winner on the 8 o'clock show. So links in the video description, check out the video, subscribe to that channel and leave that comment in there, and we'll be giving out a code for FIFA 22. If you don't want to win a FIFA 22 code, just go and watch the video anyway. It's very, very good. The start had me laughing my head off. Did you, Shagger? If you know, you know. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'll speak to you all in a little bit, 8 o'clock tonight. And, yeah, thanks for watching. And make sure you check out the link in the video description.